Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Movie and and I'm RJ.
And I'm Paige.
And today we are going to be talking about 1974's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which, from what I remember when I watched it, chainsaw is 2 words in the title card.
Oh, I don't like that.
Yeah, I was like, that's a choice.
That's a choice.
But before we get into the movie, let's discuss this trailer. I accidentally sent you the wrong trailer at first because I remember a long time ago I watched a documentary and there was like, I always heard the thing of there was a trailer that played in theaters and it scared the shit out of people and it made people run out, it made people faint, it was too, just intense for viewers. And then we found it and we just watched it. And putting my mind frame in the set of someone who was in 1974, I get it.
100%. To me, that trailer, the red band trailer, I guess, is how you do a horror trailer. I think that is horror trailer 101. It's always what I'm looking for. It's creepy. It doesn't give much away, but it gives enough.
It's very... I think the closest movie I can ever put, in conjunction with this is maybe Paranormal Activity in the sense of how raw it was.
Absolutely. And that's funny that you say that because this was advertised as based on true events.
Which is, so loose. It's based off a guy.
Right. Kind of, sort of, in a way.
There was one fact about the guy, and we based the entire movie, but it's based off a true events because it was just based off that one fact about the guy.
Correct. And then, we all know that Paranormal Activity was also advertised as true found footage. So that's interesting that you made that parallel, but I can see that.
That Blair Witch, which I think the trailer was her snotting, it was the snot scene in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's scenes that it doesn't look produced. The trailer didn't look produced. It just looked smash cut.
It looked real, and you could feel the fear through the screen.
And when they said because the thing was that people couldn't finish the trailer. It wasn't like people got to the end of the trailer. The thing that scared everybody, from what I remember, is it wasn't people would leave before he even got to scenes of the movie. It was when they were doing the narration and they were doing the photos and you saw the corpses and the decomposing skin on them. That's what made people leave.
I completely understand that. When we talk about the film, I'll point out a bit about that.
Yeah, because I think about 1974. If I saw that pop up, I'm like, that's disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
And also the movie doesn't give you anything to go off of. It's just a black screen, a flash, that very jarring sound you get
and
here.
That sound continues into the rest of the red band trailer, which was brilliant.
Exactly. The one thing I would probably say made it more quote unquote produced was that it did have the narration of movie reviews.
It's typical of the time, so I get it.
But for a movie that was so atypical,
fair,
and of a trailer that was also incredibly atypical, it's just weird that was the detail that you decided to make typical.
Yeah. No, I get that.
I will say, I think you mentioned at the end of the last episode, this is one of your favorite movies.
Yep.
I think, or your favorite horror movie.
For a reason, yeah.
Me, I watched it for the first time. I remember we spoke earlier in the week, and I told you I love the camera, and I'm gonna be able to talk about this camera and the lighting and the set design. I will go all in on that across the length of this podcast. But I remember I told you I would have much rather watched this movie silent.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just so beautiful, but then when people talked, I was like, ew, I don't want to hear anybody talk.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Besides the Sawyers. The Sawyers were really good for a certain reason.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But I think we really went in as far as we can with this trailer. So
yeah.
You ready to just kind of talk about this movie? Loosely talk about the plot, because there's not much to begin with. And just talk more about everything else.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So, Sally Hardesty and her paraplegic brother Franklin and their friends Jerry, Kirk, and Pam
Mm-hmm.
visit the grave of the Hardeste's grandfather to investigate reports of vandalism and grave robbing. Afterwards, they decide to visit the old Hardesty family homestead. This kind of skips straight to like the introduction of the characters, which unfortunately skips my favorite part of this entire movie. And it's the opening, which is in the trailer, shockingly. Which is actually cool that most of the trailer is the beginning of this movie. It's not even a later part of the movie. But when the movie begins and you get like, I don't know what type of camera that is.
It's just it. You know how he uses a pull-out sort of Polaroid in the van?
Yeah.
I think it's to mimic that.
Okay, because I didn't know if maybe it was a flash bulb. It was like supposed to be like mimicking like
Possible.
the flash bulb sound.
Possible.
But it does the flash bulbs, and we get like just decomposing corpses, and we just get that for like
hot Texas sun.
For like 1 minute, it's like nighttime, and then you get I'm guessing it's a radio show explaining what's happening, and it's just the camera pans out. It is dawn at the time of this happening, and it's just like two bodies on a gravestone, like propped up and everything. And it is one of the most, I'm going to put this, when we have like end of the season rewards, I know nothing's going to be top. This is the most beautiful shot of like the entire season.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It is such a good shot.
It is such a good way to introduce your horror movie. We don't know what's causing this. We just know this movie is going to be grotesque. I wouldn't say to like a gory standpoint, just extremely unsettling.
Exactly. And the one thing is you watch this and it's like disgusting and it's nasty and it's shot beautifully. They shot it at like, there's only one time of the day you can get this shot, and they got it then. And I also liked how they waited for the fog to come in. Like they waited before they let the fog hit the bodies. But at the same time, the thing that was like so scary and that like drew my attention, and the reason why I think the movie peaked right at this point, which is not good for me to say that, is that I had no idea what the fuck was going on. All I knew was that was disturbingly beautiful is the best way I can put it.
And for me, I remember being so shocked that this is the first thing I'm seeing in this movie that I wasn't listening to the radio. So if you miss it, you're going to miss, which is fine, you're going to miss kind of like the beginning story of what we're about to watch. It's just like a little seeds there that are planted.
Yeah.
And then if you come out of that shock and you're listening to that, you're like, oh, wow, I wonder what's causing that.
I will say this is probably the movie that I listen to movies with the headphones on, with some earbuds in. This was a movie that I feel like if you're going to watch it, you need some form of headphones, because then you get every single piece of sound. Even the ones that you're not supposed to hear, and the ones that are just, you can tell there was no sound editing. It's just so gritty.
I think, but that's what I would want with this film. I should give that a try next time for sure.
Hence is why, if we go back real quick, when we talked about Black Christmas, which is still one of our criminally underrated episodes, I was listening to that with headphones in that scene where the Mona runs and the house is shaking. The reason why it scared me is I heard it in my ears, and it's just like, ugh. That guy's like moving with a purpose. I will say, when you listen to the radio station with your headphones on, it sounds so deadpan.
Well, again, this is back in the 70s where that's very typical.
But we are introduced to, now that like we got past all of that, because that was something that I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm even going to go deep into that one. We get introduced to the group. And I'm just going to say, the only two people I like are Pam and, who's Pam's boyfriend again?
Kirk.
Is that Kirk? I like those two.
100%. That is who I liked too. And I like to call them the mystery gang, like Scooby-Doo. I don't know.
Oh, 100% they were the Mystery Gang. You kidding me? I really, I don't know if he meant like the like Toby Hooper. I hope that's his name. I sometimes I'm going off the top of my head on stuff. I don't know if he meant for Franklin to be as unlikable as he is.
So the backstory on that was the actor decided to do method acting with his character, and when he read the script, he felt that Franklin would just be annoying 100% of the time. And so,
Okay.
yeah, even when they weren't shooting, he was in character, and the cast ended up hating his guts. So there's a scene when it's Franklin and what's her face, Sally,
Sally.
when they're at the truck or the van, and he's like, "Oh, we gotta
Is
go."
this when Jerry leaves and the two of them
It's
are
just
just
them
sitting
with the
and talking?
flashlight?
Yes.
She
She looks so fucking
she
pissed.
hated his guts by that point because the whole movie was shot chronologically, so you can tell the tensions were high.
The only behind the scenes I ever saw was there's a behind the scenes photo of Kirk, the gentleman who plays Kirk, and the guy who plays Leatherface sitting on the front together, and like Kirk's like bloodied and like both smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, this is it. I
Yep.
like this. But yeah, I mean, here's the thing: the movie did a good job of telling me that they were actually going there with the purpose to visit the grave, because I just thought this was like a side stop when I was watching the movie.
It seems to me that they heard on the radio about the terrible things that were happening at the gravesite, and they were like, "Oh, our grandfather is there. We should go make sure his grave wasn't dug up," and that's how that happened.
And we get introduced to Franklin by like him having to go pee, and then he like falls down the hill.
Yeah.
Which I will admit that was pretty shitty thing to happen to him. I would be pissed if I was in that position.
Oh yeah, same. And this
I
is
get
also
that.
the 70s where it's definitely okay to have jokes and laughs about someone who's, handicapped.
Yeah. Another thing is Pam is really into like the
Astrology and horoscope?
Astrology,
Yeah.
like zodiac signs. She's so into that.
But if you catch it, everything that she says is true and comes true. About Franklin's horoscope she read Sally's horoscope. So I was like, and she didn't like the hitchhiker. She's like, I get a bad vibe. She's like, we shouldn't be at this house. I get a bad vibe. I'm like, this girl was right the entire time.
She was the, honestly, like old horror movies have this really bad tendency of the final girl not being the actual like probable final girl.
Yeah.
Pam should have been the probable final girl
Exactly.
in this movie.
But we had this problem with Black Christmas. Remember?
Yep.
Yep.
I think it wasn't until like I think the reason why a lot of people credit Halloween was Halloween may have been the first time they got like the final girl correct.
Exactly. Yeah.
Along the way, they pick up a hitchhiker who talks about his family who worked at the old slaughterhouse. He borrows Franklin's pocket knife and cuts himself, then takes a single Polaroid picture of Franklin for which he demands money. Is it bad I don't remember that he demanded money?
Yeah, he did. So this entire scene in the van was so disturbing to me.
It starts before they even pick him up because they go past the like slaughterhouse.
Slaughterhouse, yeah.
And they zoom in on this cow that I swear to God had hay fever.
Oh, yeah.
It was that like there was one cow that like was fucked. And then they zoomed in on more cows and they were all sickly. They were disgusting. And then Franklin goes into how they killed with like the drill to the head.
Right.
And
Well,
he does
that's
like
the new method. His grandpa used to do the smack on the head, which comes into play later.
Yes. But like the way Franklin did the whole like, the acting of how they did it, really like now it makes sense when you told me he thought the character would be intentionally annoying, because that was something that I was like, is that acting at this point? Because that just seems like something that's naturally annoying.
Yeah. So obviously he did a good job with the character. I hated him, and that's the point. But yeah, they do start with the slaughterhouse. And again, what are the victims in this movie? They're just bags of meat for the family.
literal. I've been calling every single group in this
Yeah.
entire season the meat sacks, and now I actually
They
have
really
it right.
are.
I'm actually right in the meat sacks.
But what was interesting, I didn't really pay attention to it for the first few times I've seen this movie. A lot of the stuff that happens in the van scene that we're talking about has I don't want to say voodoo aspect to it, but like a mystical aspect to it. He does this weird stuff with the hand. He puts his blood, on Franklin or whatever. He cuts his hand. He cuts Franklin. So there's like a blood ritual. He burns the photo of Franklin, which also has like mystical things. He marks their van when he gets out. So I don't.
We get the bones later in like a few minutes.
The-
we get the bones at the house.
Exactly,
at the house.
exactly, and a few other things too. So that was interesting because that's huge, especially in the South. With old ways. So I never really noticed that. So it was really cool.
I will say one thing about this because I'm way more knowledgeable about the remake, the 03 remake, with Jessica Biel. And they cut the hitchhiker from that movie, which I get because he's so zany that he only works in this like certain scenario, and even then he doesn't work perfectly. He's just, I actually think like the role he was given was like kind of cooler in which I think I think it's his brother in 2.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, because he gets ran over later in the movie.
Yeah.
But since that movie in and of itself was wackier, that character being wacky made sense. He just seemed like a sore thumb in this movie with the hitchhiker. When they refuse to pay, he burns the photo and slashes Franklin's left arm with a straight razor. Then the group forces him out of the van and drives on. They stop at a gas station to refill their vehicle, but the proprietor tells them that the pumps are empty. They continue toward the homestead intending to return to the gas station once it has received a fuel delivery. When they arrive, Frank tells Kirk and Pam about a local swimming hole, and the couple go to find it.
All right.
I think this is probably a good sentence to stop at because we have like a nice chunk of stuff to talk about. Since you already talked about how they kicked him out, the one thing I always thought that was funny about this movie was the idea of speed and distance.
Explain.
In the sense that, like, when Sally, like, at the end when Sally was running, I'm like, man, the hitchhiker's on her ass, but, like, it looks like the actor has to intentionally slow down so they hit the beat that they need to hit.
Actually, that's very true. When, just real quick, I know we'll get to it, but when Leatherface is chasing Sally, the actor who played Leatherface can run faster than the actress that was playing Sally. So he had to do crazy shit so he can like slow down. So that's why he would chop the brush or like spin around and do stupid stuff.
Okay, so there is a reason
behind
No,
there's
this.
100% a reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like when the car starts moving, you can tell the car is moving so freaking slowly because he's like hitting it and punching it and like doing like mouth farts, which was like the hitchhiker's like big thing in this
Not
movie.
just him. Franklin did that too in the house, and it was so annoying.
Yep. But the whole thing happens. They get to the gas station. Gas isn't there. They get told it's going to get delivered later in the afternoon, I believe.
I do like the comedy bit real quick with the car washer.
Yes.
He's either a little bit unhinged or the sun's been getting to him. I'm not really sure. But anytime the gas station owner comes out, talks to the group, goes back, talks to the group, goes back, the car washer will get up from his seat, clean the car, go back, clean the car. I don't know. It's a little funnies in this horror movie.
I mean, this movie does have comedy in the sense of, but the thing is, it's not like intentionally funny. It's just these people are fucking weird. That's kind of it.
Especially,
just they're very weird people. Yeah,
when we get to the dinner scene, I'll give you a little insight on that and why they're absolutely bonkers. But yeah.
But this has led me to believe, which I think, tell me if I'm right now, and then we can talk about it later, The only reason why these people were getting killed was because they went into the house. They were not going to be killed if they stayed at the fuel station.
Right. Well, they were going to their family house. That's fine, but
Yeah.
they went into Leatherface's family's house. They were marked, so maybe it has something to do with the mystical things that were happening that the hitchhiker did to them. I have no idea. I doubt there's much backstory in the script or anything like that with this movie's $60K budget, which was nothing.
I wonder how much that is in today's.
I'm not sure, but it was when was Halloween made?
The 79.
Yeah, compared to the budget for Halloween, it's like scraps. But
Also, I just something popped in my head. I swear, I hope they are called the Sawyer family in this movie.
I think you're right. I just never remember.
Because I know they're called the Sawyers in the next movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think you're right.
And part of me thinks, because like when they did remakes, the one thing that was always the thing was change the names. I really hope that's not one of the names they changed. But the one thing I will give Franklin credit for is when they get to the house and he notices that the car has like the blood on it. And his first thing that comes to his head is, what if he's following us? What if this is how he marked our car?
Exactly.
Which I was like, honestly, why is no one taking that seriously? That's a really good way to mark a person's car if you're going after them later.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, we find out later that they're working with the gas station owner because he's part of the family. So he marked that car.
But he hates him.
I know, but they still work as a group. So maybe he really, truly marked the van saying, hey, great opportunity, great meat. This is what we got to do. Because they probably did have gas, and he lied. You know what I mean?
Because I was like, Franklin's right in this. Like, if someone wrote on your car and you threw them out of your car, maybe you want to clean it?
Yeah.
Just maybe?
Also, I don't know how deep we'll get into it, but when they get to the house, the family house, the score suddenly gets very eerie. Like once you get to this location, you're supposed to think something's not right. Your character shouldn't be here.
Also, this is the moment I hate Sally.
Why?
Because all you hear is this girl like fucking maniacally laughing for like 3 minutes straight. And I'm just like, shut the fuck up. You have such an annoying laugh.
You know what I think it was, too? For some reason, I feel like they didn't have a script for this part of the movie. And they were like, just ad-lib.
That could be it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, I was so annoyed. And then it's hard because I was like, oh, maybe Franklin's just a dick. And she's going to be likable. Because that's like kind of how like a movie's dynamics go with like brother and sister. And then they get left behind like a little bit later on, and I'm like, oh no, you're just both incredibly unlikable people.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Quick question I have for you: when Kirk goes looking throughout the house, what the fuck is that thing in the corner of the ceiling?
To me, it looked like a bunch of old
Spiders?
and new spider webs with spiders in them.
Yeah,
and the sound that they use is like.
Yes, I didn't like that. I lowered my volume because it's so gross.
Exactly. See, this movie has good parts. As a whole, it's fine.
It's just when people open their mouths, I don't like it.
Yes. The cinematography for this film, I mean, we'll get to it at the end of our roundup, is phenomenal.
They stumble upon a nearby house, and Kirk calls out for gas, entering through the unlocked door while Pam waits outside. Is this the scene where we get that really beautiful shot? Like, is this like kind of in like when they're traveling and walking, there's that really good dusk shot?
I don't think so. I think that's after when the other boyfriend...
Because he's about to go get killed.
I don't think it's with him. It's with the other boyfriend.
Okay. Because I remember this is where they found the cars, like the impounded cars and everything.
Right. This is a really good scene though when we get a shot. Apparently the shot was almost cut or didn't happen, and it's one of the most beautiful shots. Is when we have Pam on the outside of the house and we're looking at the house and we come in, I think from under the tree swing or something like that. I don't really remember it, but I kind of remember how the shot was. It was
Is it the one with
decent
her
shot.
like? It's like you know what's odd is I kind of remember the shot because it's the iconic shot of the movie where
Yes.
it's like her walking to the house
Yes.
and it's kind of like from behind her, and you're right, it's like it's on the swing.
Yes.
That's the shot I know.
Yeah.
Like if you watch any video, that's the shot everyone uses.
And it was gonna get cut or not happen at all, and they were like, no, we got to get this, and they were like, fine.
That's such a weird thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great shot.
I know.
Kirk gives her a tooth
Oh yeah.
that he finds.
He's such an
and
asshole.
She freaks out.
He's such an asshole. Like.
Honestly, the honest thing is he's the likable one of this entire group. Like, besides Pam, he's the likable guy.
It's just their relationship dynamic. I think it's just how it is. Because she's like, ugh, Kirk, you know.
You found a tooth. That's
you
gross.
weirdo.
It's fine. Your astrological sign, like, it matches mine. So, you know.
Also, the impound cars are obviously from past victims. I just want to point that out.
100%.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah. I can piece that one together. I'm not that dumb. I am not that dumb. Leatherface, a large mute man wearing a mask made from human skin, suddenly appears and kills Kirk with a hammer. Now, as we are talking right now, our nice little video has something I made in the Unreal Engine that is inspired or in the style of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I'm pretty sure you even know what it looks like. In order for me to make that, I had to do some research on the set, and I had to find scenes from that shot because to me that's the iconic areas, you know, where that happens. And when I was looking it all up, I found a picture of what the house actually looks like. That sliding door does not exist.
No.
It's the sliding door, the walls, and the red wall are all built because in the real house it's a long hallway.
I want to let you know, I thought it was a really interesting tidbit I found out is, again, this had the lowest budget that you could for a freaking movie. And
how did they build fake walls with that much of a budget?
I just want to say, like, the house was owned by a family, and they lived there throughout the entire filming process. They didn't leave. So,
as a person whose house has been used when I lived in New York, has been used for like TV shows like Law and Order and shit. Same.
So I have a feeling
you don't pay us enough to leave.
I have a feeling the fake walls and rooms were to prevent, you know, the living situations of the family that lived there be in the movie because obviously it would change the, you know, aesthetic.
Yeah. I just thought it was impressive because when you see what the house actually looks like, it's a pretty long front hallway.
Yeah.
And the fact that they built, you know, the walls, the sliding door, the red wall behind it, all that stuff, that's just built that ended up having to be taken down at the end. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you can tell, you know, they couldn't, like you just said, that makes a lot of sense with them, like people living in the house because you can tell the creature skin was just used to cover up the stuff that was on the walls.
Yeah.
Because they obviously probably didn't have the permission to take it down.
Exactly.
This is a scary scene, though.
Kirk's death? Yes.
Kirk's death is scary. And this goes into something that is really good. Horror movies. Halloween had this issue, too. Yeah, this is a horror movie. Black Christmas had an issue like this. Halloween had an issue like this. Friday had an issue like this. Nightmare had an issue like this. This is just a horror movie trope where it's like you set the scene and you prepare for the death. This death, like, yeah, it prepares you for the death because you know this guy's about to get killed because, you know, he hears noises, he follows a noise. Of course he's getting killed. But the speed in which he hears the noise to he is dead on the floor is almost instantaneous.
It's amazing. When we watched My Bloody Valentine, for example, let's just do, you know, longevity of a death scene in a horror movie. One of the first ones...
Mabel?
Yes, exactly. In the laundry scene, we said this would have been such a good death scene if it was faster. It was so slow on purpose that it killed that scene. No pun intended.
I'm still so bummed our reaction video got copywritten because that was a great video.
But this is such a good way to introduce your killer. you're
And it's very quick. You don't get to look
Yes,
at him that much.
Exactly. I think that's the scarier part. You don't really get a true feel of this character. And your first victim goes in, you like this guy, he's looking around, you're like, wow, this is a really weird house. You're just starting to get used to the environment. Boom, he's dead.
He gets malleted in the head.
Exactly. And that goes back to what I was saying about
2 times, and he is spasming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very uncomfortably for like the viewer.
Oh, for sure. But this goes back to what I was saying about the victims being, the meat sacks for the family.
Yeah.
They have no remorse.
Also, I just want to say, when it comes to Leatherface, Freddy's my favorite icon, and we went through 4 movies of Jason, and we're eventually going to get to Halloween at some point. Leatherface is a fucking mountain of a man.
Yeah, you think that frick.
Like Jason.
Not Jason. What's his name? Michael is
Michael
a
Myers.
mountain of a man. Leatherface is like Mount Everest.
Because, like, Michael's whole thing is, like, Michael's tall.
Right.
But Leatherface is tall and chonk.
Yeah, chonk with muscle. This man is so strong.
If I saw that, he's probably the first killer we got into this season where, like, if I saw him, I would be like, oh, I'm dead. I'm actually dead right now. I can't get away from this guy.
Absolutely. And he's fast. That's the scary part.
That's the scariest thing, is that you got a big ass mountain of a man who can move like someone who's 5'6".
I also want to point out that the deaths, again, feel inconsequential. Like they're just an action that this family does. It's no big deal. They make you feel that way too with the camera work. A lot of these shots about when the kill is happening are wide shots. You don't see that ever. With horror movies, either back then and now, you're in the face. Like, you are in the action. Here, we are just a spectator. It really adds to the suspense.
What you were just saying about the kills and everything, the one thing I really liked about this movie was not like I guess to a degree, it's that whole thing of, like, it is, like, wide shot and everything, but also movies have a really bad tendency of the killers, like, being maniacal and stalking and, like, being, like, and, like, praying. Leatherface is like, these people have to die, and they have to die now. Like, I just need to get them and kill them. That's it. No show, no chasing. If I can grab you and you don't run, I'd rather have that. I just have to get a hold of you.
Is that scarier than a killer?
Yes!
Yeah, exactly. It's a good conversation
that's
to have.
fucking terrifying.
Right?
Because that's real.
Yeah.
That's real. The person who wants to kill you isn't going to stalk you. They're just going to fucking kill you.
Yeah. It's... Ooh, it's definitely... God, see, talking about it makes me love this movie even more.
Like, here's the thing. Even though I hate the characters and I hate the script and shit, I love the method behind the madness.
Mm-hmm.
I love the cinematography. I love the lighting. I love the set design of the house. It's just when people talk, I'm not a big fan of it. But, like, and the thing is, when the kills are happening, people don't talk. So I love everything that's in this movie. But the thing is, you'd later learn on that the reason why he's like, so, like, people have to die now is because, like, Daddy's gonna be pissed if one of these people gets away, because we've been doing this for such a long time. One person gets away, we get caught, it's over. Mm-hmm. Those are the rules. No one can get out. Leatherface makes sure that they don't get out. Pam enters soon after and trips into a room filled with furniture made from human bones. So you said people were living in the house when this was going on?
Yeah.
How the fuck did they okay the chicken room?
Who knows?
The chicken feather room.
Who knows?
Like, my kitchen is going to have chicken feathers and bones?
Hopefully they were given enough money.
I need $10K just for the kitchen.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Scary ass scene though. But good use of zoom ins, because the zoom ins was her reaction to this shit.
Yes. That was my biggest note from when she's going through this terrifying experience, is that quick zoom adds the heightened fright that we're feeling from her and the disorientation that she's feeling of she has no idea what's going on. What the fuck is she in right now? And she once she starts to realize what's happening and where she is, she's just repulsed to the point where she's just gagging. She can't handle it. And I was like, girl, same.
As she should.
Same.
That's a disgusting area. The one thing like this movie is doing very well at this point is I don't know if they're getting this by accident or if he's just if like the director is just so good that he knew when to shoot this. They are catching these shots at the perfect time of day from when the natural lighting hits the house.
I want to give him credit. I want to give him and his cameraman and the cinematographer credit.
But here's the thing, even if it's luck, you have to be credited for getting that lucky because every shot was perfect.
Yes, the minute we're in, again, because it was shot chronologically. I know it was through different days, whatever, but you have...
But there's a set time when you're chronological.
Exactly.
You have like maybe a 30-minute time frame to get that lighting.
Exactly. It's even harder when you're doing it chronological. So mad props to them. They have to get that lighting correct every single day that they're on set.
Like I said before at the beginning of the movie, when they shot at dawn, the only way that scene was going to be really just as good was when it was at dawn and the sun was right behind the body.
Yep.
The way the sun hits this kitchen area, or like the chicken room, and it kind of, hits the bone chair is really where you get like the sense of lighting. That couldn't have been done any other time of day. It had to be at that exact point where the sun was exactly in that spot.
Yep. And you're getting emotion from that lighting, which is really hard to do.
Yes. And you don't have to, light a room. You just, which again makes it feels less produced. Therefore, it makes it feel more raw. I don't have unnatural lighting everywhere.
They had to do what they had to do with the money that they had. So mad frickin' props.
And they did.
Yep.
And they did. She attempts to flee, but Leatherface catches her and impales her on a meat hook, making her watch as he butchers Kirk with a chainsaw. Jerry heads out to look for Pam and Kirk at sunset. Okay. This scene, when he catches her... I mean, here's the thing. The chase... This is probably like what a real-life chase scene would look like. She runs. He catches her. He picks her up. He does his shit. That's a real-life chase scene. If this was... And this is like a problem with the 03 one, is when the 03 one does the hook scene, it's not like... In this movie, she gets put on a hook, and she just gets put on a hook. Like, it's not like a whole, big production moment of, seeing the hook enter the back, and, and, like all that stuff. It's just, on you go.
Yeah. No, again,
you can't run.
No big deal.
In the 03, they make a big deal out of the hook scene.
That makes sense.
But I was like, I don't know which one I like. I don't know which one scares me more. The thing of me seeing it or the thing of it just being so inconsequential that putting her on a hook is just another thing that's happening in this scene. And it's probably the least disturbing thing that's happening in this scene right now.
100%. So, again, I just want to point out the actors of Leatherface's strength, because Pam is full-blown flailing, and he's walking with her just as she was a bag of potatoes or something on his hip. So
yes.
That was crazy. But yeah, I agree. Just boom, putting her on the hook, okay, here's the next slab of meat that I'm going to have to chop up. I'm just going to let it, bleed out as you do with, pigs or whatever.
I got to get rid of them.
You got to bleed them out. But I felt so bad for Pam. The way she had to go was watching her boyfriend get chopped to pieces right in front of her.
And she wasn't even dead by the time she gets found.
No. Yeah, that was pretty bad.
But this is where we were talking about before with
the golden hour shot.
The golden hour shot,
yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But also, before we get to the golden hour shot, I think we get the Sally and Franklin scene where him and her are left at the car right before golden hour, and they're talking. And there's this brief scene where they go at each other. Yeah,
I thought it was Jerry left them there, and he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go check." There wasn't much
that
conversation
was-
at this point. I know which one you're talking about.
I think because they have a conversation before sundown.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And they have a conversation, and he's like, Franklin says, "You wish I didn't come, didn't you?"
Right.
And Sally can't answer it because she knows what her answer is, but she doesn't. Like, you can tell she doesn't want to hurt his feelings. But you can tell she didn't want him to come.
Yeah.
And in reality, it probably would have been better if he didn't come because he wouldn't have died. But yeah, we get the really good golden hour shot.
Yep. The shot of Jerry. He's walking through the brush. We're doing a, what is it? It's an angle up, right? Angle up shot.
I think it's angle up. Yeah, it's angle up.
During golden hour, so we're getting his silhouette with the sun in front of him setting, and we're also getting shadows of the brush and just, nature he's going through to go look for his friends. It is the most beautiful shot to me in this film. Whenever I think of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is insane, this is the shot that I think about. I don't think about Leatherface. This is it. And his floral 70s shirt blends in with his surroundings. Yeah. I don't know. It's again just like mwah.
He sees the house and finds Pam still alive inside of a freezer. Before he can react, Leatherface kills him. This man screams when Leatherface comes out.
So
it is so. I can tell for personal example. There's only one time in my life I have ever screamed like that, and it was when something got me so badly that I screamed like that.
So that's perfect, because that's basically what happened. The actor who was playing Jerry did not see the actor who played Leatherface at all. He didn't see him with the mask. He didn't see any of that before. And when Leatherface comes around that corner, that's the first time he sees him. So that's a true, genuine reaction.
I mean, I'm like, okay, mountain of a man, wearing an apron, skin face.
Yeah. Trifecta.
Nope.
I'm done.
And also, I just saw one of my friends just pop out of a freezer.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't truly understand the point of her, flailing and jumping out of the freezer.
Fun fact, I think in The Next Generation, the one with Renee Zellweger and Matthew McConaughey, because, that one happened. And I'm just going to let you know, since we're never going to watch that, the movie ends with they're part of a cult. The Sawyer family.
Okay.
They're part of a cult. Which, I mean, goes back to what you were talking about with, like, the
mystic
stuff before.
Yeah, makes sense.
But I think either Renee Zellweger or the other girl in the movie gets put in the freezer, and she eventually gets out, but it's cool to see this thing of girl gets put in the freezer, and we get to see the inside of the freezer for once.
Right. That scene was also sped up intentionally post. I don't understand why. But again,
this movie has some janky ass editing at points.
Yeah, I feel like that was a lot of the
budget
or the house, the publisher house was like, yeah, we need to do this here, and they're like, okay, I guess you're forking up the money.
Cool. You can put them on our chicken tenders, I guess. Don't get blood in our shrimp, okay? With darkness falling, Sally and Franklin set out to find their friends. As they near the neighboring house and call out, Leatherface lunges from the darkness and kills Franklin with a chainsaw. I will say, probably what happens, like, this entire scene is probably my least favorite part of the movie. Up until we get to a point I really like. But the two of them arguing over a flashlight, I was just like, that's fine. It goes on for too long.
They're hot. They're smelly, they're tired, they're very scared. I get it.
Same, but also it gets on for too long.
Oh, no, totally.
You could have cut that by a good minute.
Yeah, and I fucking hate Franklin.
When he gets killed, I'm like, okay. Is it bad that when he got killed, I was like, oh, thank God one of them is dead.
No, because I felt the same way.
I was just like, I need one of you to die, so at least I get, like, someone shuts the fuck up.
Yeah.
That's it. This one of you needs to die. And then they do the chase scene.
Also, what's crazy is this all happens on a full moon. I don't know how much of the film they actually got with a real full moon. But
I was gonna say full moon's one time a month.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, throughout the filming process, because a lot of natural lighting happened. But that also adds to the mystical factor of the film, I guess.
I mean, I feel like any shot that needed the full moon was probably going to get put on a full moon night, but nights where like it was filmed inside a house, it doesn't necessarily need to have a full moon outside.
Totally.
Sally runs towards the house and finds the remains of an elderly couple upstairs. She escapes from Leatherface by jumping through a second floor window, and she flees to the gas station.
I just want to jump back real quick to the Sally chase. I know you don't like it. I
hate this.
It's not.
But also, it's because I had headphones on, and this is when audio editing was at its worst.
Yeah. Yes and no. I do agree with that. Maybe because of the headphones you realized it. But to me, what I really liked about this was Sally is absolutely petrified.
That's fine. My issue was I kept hearing like a boom, 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 like a bass. I was like, where the fuck's the bass coming from in this scene?
So to me, the score when Leatherface and Sally finally meet, the score cuts and it becomes as eerie as it was when we first got to the family house, which I thought was really, really cool. And you hear that, and then it becomes silent, and all you're hearing is the chainsaw. And to me, that's kind of emulating on what Sally's hearing. Is that's all she can hear. She can't hear anything else. She's not hearing her own screams. That's all she can hear. So I thought it was really clever.
Again, this is just a thing of it went on too long for me.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I do like how inconsequential their first meeting is. Like, usually, like when the killer meets the like final girl for the first time, it's like it's a big moment. It's like you're meeting, it's the like meeting of the minds. And for this, it's just like, hi,
yeah, I'm gonna
chase you now.
Yeah, you go.
You should run.
You get a head start.
But she jumps out of a window after seeing Grandpa and Grandma. And for some reason, when they jumped out of a window, for some reason, part of me thought about the Final Girls, where it's that slow-mo shot of the jump.
That actually is probably an homage to that.
And we get to... I'm trying to think, is this my favorite scene of the movie? Because it's such a small detail. That's why I think it may be my favorite scene in the movie. She gets to the gas station, and she gets inside. And when she gets inside... Leatherface throws a fucking temper tantrum. And there's something so beautiful in that. In that, like... At the moment, we don't know why this guy's throwing a temper tantrum, because you can go inside and kill the guy in the gas station. Within 5 minutes, we know why he's so scared and, like, throwing temper tantrums. Because the one person who she did not need to get to, she got to.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're going to have to get shit on when you get home, like when he gets home, because you let one get away.
Yep.
And this is the first person you ever let get away. This person is, not fully mentally developed. Of course they're going to lose it.
Yeah.
And I just liked, because, in other horror movies, if the killer doesn't get you, they just disappear and they come back later. To see a killer just lose it because someone got away, it's scarier,
right,
than a person just not caring, because it's like now they're gonna get way more ruthless. The proprietor calms her with offers of help, but then ties her up, gags her, and forces her into his truck. I know this was supposed to be scary, but this was somewhat comedic.
No, I think that was on purpose.
This was comedic as shit.
I think that was on
just
purpose.
because he's so weak as a old guy. And it's like, it's not hitting her, and she's just like, ah! It's like hitting her wrist, and she's like, don't hit me.
I think that was on purpose.
My question was the meat boiler, like the one they were talking about before. Mm-hmm. Was that human body?
100%, yeah. So okay. Franklin was eating human for sure.
That my question was Franklin eating finger, or was Franklin eating dick?
That's a question I don't have the answer to.
Because the thing he was eating, the quote unquote sausage he was eating, was very phallic looking.
I agree. I do have to say, Sally in her absolute panic attack inside the gas station when she's there is really, really good. Maybe the actress was losing her goddamn mind, which, fair. Especially
Can't
how
blame you.
The crap that the actress went through during this film. I thought she did a really good job. And then once she realizes that the gas station owner is part of the problem and she should be scared of him, and her just being like, no. Like, she's exhausted and she's like, I can't do this.
I just like how the is he the father or is he a brother with them?
I don't know.
But I just like how he's like, I'm gonna need you to get in the potato sack.
Yeah,
Like, he just throws it on the floor like, we can make this easy. Can you just get in it for me, please?
Yeah.
If not, I'm gonna have to like tickle you with a stick for a few minutes. It's a whole thing. And then like he when he's driving her back to the house and he's like hitting her in the head while she's screaming.
Yeah, having a grand old time.
I know. He drives to the house, arriving at the same time as the hitchhiker, now revealed as Leatherface's brother. The hitchhiker recognizes Sally and taunts her. And also, gas station dude is like, I fucking told you not to go back to that gas station. What is wrong? Not the gas station, to the cemetery. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, he gets in a lot of trouble.
You can tell they don't. Gas station dude does not like the hitchhiker.
Oh, no.
Like, he can get killed. He'd be like, oh no.
How tragic.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
The men torment in the bound and gag Sally, while Leatherface, now dressed as a woman, serves dinner. So, you remember I said before that him losing his shit was my favorite scene?
Mm-hmm.
I was lying.
Hmm.
What happens in this brief moment is one of my favorite. It's because of how chaotic good it is in a way. Because the family's not good. But if you take it in like kind of like the world it's in, like if you put it in like a normal sense, this is one of the most chaotic good things that person can do. Like she's getting tied and she's getting gagged, and Leatherface is now like makeuped up, which is, I'm gonna say, that is a very stark difference from how we just saw him like 5 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like ready to kill Sally. Now he's like making dinner.
And also, he's wearing a new wig and obviously a new face.
Yep.
Is his wig Jerry's hair?
Possibly.
Because that fluff of hair looks exactly like it.
It wouldn't shock me.
No,
That seems like a detail that would be a thing.
Yeah.
What if he was wearing what's-her-name's face?
Ooh,
Pam's.
Yikes.
But there's this scene of her freaking out, and the gas station dude's like talking to her, and all you see is Leatherface just leave the kitchen, just like looks at her, and just like, I gotta put dinner on the table. Excuse me. Cooking. Just something about how it's scary. It's funny and scary. Because Leatherface is so casually just setting dinner. It's like a normal night. We kidnapped a person. We're gonna kill her. Normal Friday.
Right.
This time we don't have to do it like a decapitated body. Now we get like a fresh body. Oh God, this is where we get Grandpa.
This next scene with Grandpa and the finger sucking is my dad's favorite because he finds it hilarious.
Do you know like the prosthetic shit that the guy who played the grandpa had to go through?
It was like over 10 hours or something like that.
Yeah. He was like 20, I think. Like, he was a young guy.
When we get to the dinner scene, that dinner scene was filmed all in one day. And because the guy who played the grandfather was like, fuck you, I am not going through this prosthetic stuff more than once. You're going to have to film everything. And so I think it was like
crazy. He came back for the second movie.
Oh, that's nuts. I think it was a 26 or 28 hour film day. And
I'm guessing Sally's screams were filmed at the end of the day.
I guess, but because
that's the only way I can get. I'd be you too, girls. Like 28 hours. It's like, let me go to sleep.
The acting in that was very real. They were absolutely truly losing their minds. The smell apparently was so bad and rancid that in between takes, the actors would put their heads outside of the window and just get sick. It was that bad. Yeah, it was really, really bad.
But wasn't this someone's house? Like someone's actual house that
Yep.
they were filming in?
Yep.
I don't think you could give them the full 60 grand budget. I don't think that gets rid of that scent. At that point, if people are going out of your window to vomit, that 60 grand does not get rid of that scent.
Maybe that was a separate set, but regardless. And it was like 100 and something degrees inside because they had no air, obviously, in the attic. So
I will say with like now that make that 28-hour things makes sense because when Leatherface and the hitchhiker start like howling and shit.
Yep.
That's shit I do when I'm sleep deprived.
Yeah,
and I just go like, because like when I'm sleep deprived, I just go crazy. Like I just like start laughing at stupid shit. I make dumb noises. I'm just like, I'm tired. I know I'm tired, but I need to stay awake somehow. I guess I'm awoogaing. So now that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And a lot of the scene was cut from the film. So a lot of that filming that they did in that 28 hours didn't even make it.
But yeah, they bring the grandfather down, and he's revealed to be alive, which is disturbing. And he sucks the blood from a cut on Sally's finger. They decide that Grandpa, the best killer in the old slaughterhouse, should kill Sally. Biggest mistake of their lives.
And you know how you hated how long the chase scene was, the first chase scene through the brush?
Oh, this was abomination of a chase scene.
This was too long for me. The head beating of Sally was too long for me.
This entire last, 15 minutes were way too long.
Yeah.
I don't know. The fact that you just said, they filmed for 28 hours and a whole bunch of it got cut, that confuses me.
Same.
Because I feel like that maybe had 3 minutes most of a film. He tries to hit her with a hammer, but he's too weak. In the ensuing struggle, she breaks free, leaps through a window, and flees to the road. And we get, the final quote-unquote chase scene. And you can tell the guy who's playing the hitchhiker is intentionally slowing down because he is on her ass the entire time.
Unless, yes, that's true, but it also kind of gives
He could be toying with her.
Exactly. That's also the scariest part.
Even though the one scary thing with him is when they're running.
Yeah.
He is, scratching her with the razor blade.
Yeah.
He's, blade. He's not stabbing her. He's just blading her. With Leatherface, it's, I gotta kill you now. I think, here's the thing. Hitchhiker and Leatherface are the two different spectrums of the killers we've been talking about this entire season. It's the Hitchhiker's the one that likes the show. He wants to play with you. He wants to do all this stuff. Leatherface just wants to kill you.
Yep. Straight up.
And we see what playing gets the Hitchhiker.
Yep.
Leatherface and the Hitchhiker give chase, but the latter is run over and killed by a passing truck. Leatherface attacks the truck with his chainsaw, and then the driver stops to help. He knocks down Leatherface with a pipe wrench, which is hilarious because he just chucks it at the guy.
Was.
And causing the chainsaw to cut his leg. Yeah, that's kind of what happens.
Yeah.
The driver flees, and when we say he flees, he just runs on foot.
Just straight up.
He's dead. This dude's dead. You cannot convince me this guy's alive at the end of the movie. And Sally escapes in the back of a passing pickup truck as Leatherface maniacally flails his chainsaw in the air in anger and defeat.
And it ends on probably one of the most iconic scenes of the film is Sally screaming and maniacal and either happy, elated, or just losing her brains.
Probably a combination of all three.
Yeah, yeah. Again,
because there's that relief that... Because here's the thing. You've been on... everyone has the fight or flight mode. When you see Leatherface, you go on flight. No one fights that dude. So you've been on flight for what, the last... This all takes place... It's supposed to take place in, a 9-hour time frame, supposedly.
Maybe
9 to 12 hours.
12 to 16, maybe.
Because the thing is, this probably starts at 3 or 4 p.m. in the afternoon.
The killings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for her, it probably starts at around 9, 10 o'clock at night.
She's been
8, 9.
I think she's been with them till what?
Around 6 a.m.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
So this entire thing from like first death onwards was like 12, 13 hours.
Mm-hmm.
This entire like, so you've been on flight. So you've been on that. Like everyone's been on flight at that mode. You've been on flight since like probably 8, 9 p.m.
Minimum.
The fact that it's 6 a.m. you just got out. Mm-hmm. You're probably just like, there's that relief, and you start laughing because like I got out, but then like you're dealing with that shit. Then you're dealing with like everyone's around me just died.
Yeah.
And now that's hitting you. So then you become maniacal.
Yeah.
And she officially beats the final girl from Friday Part 3 with like person who was mentally broken by the end of the movie.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Of course, there were two different stories. One person was dealing with like, sexual stuff that happened to her. This one's just dealing with like smut that just like a literal smut film happened in front of her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But this is reality. When you get out of a situation like that with any sort of killer, any sort of thing, that's how you leave the situation.
Mm-hmm.
You can be, you don't have to be bloodied, but that's how you leave that situation. And the movie ends with Leatherface dancing, and it's disturbing.
And it's a harsh cut to the credits.
Yes.
With the chainsaw
which is good.
Yeah. Yep. That's how you do
because this movie could have fucked it up at the end. Yep. It could have been like, oh, you know what we'll do? We'll give it like an actual movie ending where it's like a fade to black or something. The fact that it's a MaaH is really indicative of how this entire movie has been the entire time.
And I do like to let's do a quick comparison with that. So like you said, it's harsh timing with this film. The deaths are quick, fast, inconsequential, and the ending
editing is gross.
Right, it's raw, and
especially. Excuse me while we go. If I just bring you back for 1 second, I forgot to talk about when we were in the house before. And Sally was screaming, and they had like it was like a 1 minute, but they like kept cutting.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like it wasn't like and then they would cut, and she'd still be like It was like cut, then like like it was just so many different pitches of screams happening.
But yeah, so the harshness and the speed of this film is summed up in the ending. It's a harsh cut. And if we go back to Black Christmas, which has the same vibe of creepy and eeriness, it was slower pace, but still creepy as hell. And how did that movie end? We did a zoom out with the phone ringing and ringing and ringing into the credits.
I feel like Black Christmas was more somber.
Yeah, no, totally. This one's absolutely unhinged.
Yeah. Also, another thing this movie did differently, and I think that, like, it's really good with the way it was edited. There was no comeuppance. There was no, like, oh, and the bad guy got theirs.
Nope.
You just got out of there.
Yep. That's it.
Like, sure, the hitchhiker got ran over, but that's not the good bad guys getting theirs. That's just the hitchhiker's a fucking idiot, and he's been an idiot this entire movie.
Yeah.
He's a victim of, his stupid decisions, not of, the plot saying bad things have to happen to bad people. It's just, these are bad people. They do bad shit. You're not going to be able to take these people out. You just got to get out of the situation at this point.
Exactly.
But that was 1974's Texas Chainsaw. Unfortunately, the one thing about this movie, which I knew we were coming into this, we weren't going to be talking about a lot about plot. It was just going to be a lot about editing and lighting and set design and camera work. Like, all that stuff was what was really going to be talked about. But it is now time for the movie roundup.
Okay.
You ready?
Let's get to it.
All right, let's go. All right. So, Texas Chainsaw, my first viewing. You loved it, or is this your favorite?
It's definitely up there. I don't really have a favorite horror movie. I know that's probably weird to say.
Or maybe with Movie in a Haunt? You'll find one eventually.
Yeah, but it's...
But currently, would this be your favorite, like where we are now?
I'm gonna say yes.
Okay. Why? I'm asking like why in like a way like why do you like it, but more of just
why, and then I'll tell you my overall review of the film. Okay.
Well, why is a review?
Okay. It's the artistry of the film that really catches my attention. For a horror film, you don't really see that often. It's always about the kills, the grossness, being just as nasty and dirty as possible, and makes you like squirm in your seat, which this does make you squirm in your seat, but
just not in the way that it usually does, where it's like, ew, it's in his eyeball.
Yeah, exactly. It's simple. Yes, that might be a downfall, especially for you. I know you had a problem with the plot being simple, but for me, that's good. I want a simple plot. I want to just experience the film. And through the lighting, the cinematography, the acting even. I know you had a problem when they opened their mouth. I get it. I totally get it.
Everyone but the family. If you opened your mouth, I didn't like you.
It's just overall really well done. There's a reason that it's considered one of the best, most iconic horror movies. Marilyn's performance, which is Sally, just really seemed to outshine most horror final girls. I think it's just the fear that she portrayed. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I think I gave it a really low rating, 8.5 out of 10. That seems really low.
I'm giving it.
But
I know what I'm giving it.
That's what my view on it is.
So my view on it is this. I get it. That's like where I can go. Like, I get it. I get why people like it. I hate the acting. I hate when people talk. Like I said, if I could watch this movie again, I would just watch it with no volume. If anything, I actually think it may be more scary if I watch it with no volume. And it's just fucking freak the shit out of me. My thing is, it's like, it's beautiful. I'm like, yeah, of course it's beautiful. I'm pretty sure the last hour of us talking is just us going, this shot was gorgeous.
It's so gorgeous.
But to me, it's how much of this was skill and how much of this was just dumb luck that they fell into.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if it's like skill, it's like, damn, masterful. If it's luck, I'm like, I still give you credit because you got lucky. And it takes... There's something like, is it skill or is it luck? And I will always say there's a certain amount of skill in getting lucky. But if it's only luck, there's only so much I can give you credit for when it's just, you happened to film at 5 p.m. because that was when time allowed it. For the set designers, the cameramen, or just camera workers, I don't know exactly what the camera team was. You get all my praise. They carried this movie. Without the people, like without the set designers, without all of them, this movie would have been booty batter butt cheeks.
Oh yeah.
To the gentleman who played Leatherface, standout, was scary. The fact that he like did not go near people while they were filming.
He also didn't go near people because he smelled so bad in his costume because he couldn't change out of it. So they kept their distance on purpose too.
I mean, good. He gets more credit from me because if you stinky, if you stank, and you're like, you know what, I don't want to be near you. I stank. I'm ugly. All this stuff. I'm like, you know what? Good on you. You know what? I respect that decision. God, what do I want to give this movie? I mean, the unfortunate thing is my favorite movie this season had audio issues, so we have to re-record the episode.
Yeah.
It definitely ranks higher than like. I still think I like Friday Part 2 more than this movie, so it definitely is below Friday Part 2. Candyman is still my favorite, which, you know, when we re-record, you'll hear me, like, goo goo gaga over that movie.
Mm.
Black Christmas is still above this. I think I may just give it like a 6 or a 6.5.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing. I know what's going to happen next episode. And the thing is, I have so much more experience in horror. And the fact that we're going to do another Texas Chainsaw, and I'm going to be like, I love this one so much more, even though it is worse in, like, almost every way. Besides acting. It's going to be telling about me. It's just... Okay, don't take my opinion seriously at this point. But I'll give it a 6.5. You gave it 8.5. I think this is the first time our roles have been reversed, where I have not liked a movie and you loved it. Because usually it's I love it, or it's usually I love it and you love it. I'm mixed and you're mixed. I hate it, you hate it, or I love it, you hate it.
Right.
This is the first episode. It took us almost like 10 different episodes to get to a point where I'm just like, you're like, I love it. And I'm like,
Not so
never
much.
have to watch it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I will say, though, there's one thing I'm excited about.
What's that?
We get to build a haunt off this shit.
Yeah. I think that's going to be
Now,
good.
Here's the one thing. Can I give you a little backstory real quick?
Sure.
You know I've been to Halloween Horror Nights. You know my desk is like fucking Halloween Horror Nights stuff. But Texas Chainsaw has been there multiple times. I think maybe 2 or 3. Besides 06, I can't account 06. I remember hearing them on the radio and stuff, but like I didn't go to the 06 one. Texas Chainsaw always has a reputation of being the worst house at Halloween Horror Nights, or like one of the worst houses.
Oh shit.
People genuinely like, and I think it's like I usually I get confused because I'm like, it's Texas Chainsaw. How do you hate Texas Chainsaw? It's fucking scary. A lot of people really shit on the Texas Chainsaw houses. Okay, if you were there in real life, in the set of the movie and everything, what would be your one thing that you'd be like, oh, I'm in here. I don't like it. What would be the thing that you'd think that would be the turn off for everybody that makes everyone hate the house?
The smell.
It fucking stinks.
Yeah,
There
of
is
course
a
it
room.
does.
I remember there was a room that people said was made to smell like actual shit.
I'm not surprised.
I'm like, you know what? You're right. That's disgusting. I don't want to be a part of that room. But if you hate it because it's immersive, that's not a good reason to hate it. It's just being immersive. It's like, this room stinks like duty. That's the thing. You know what? I bet you any amount of money the actors in this movie would have rather filmed at the Halloween Horror Nights house that stink like shit instead of filming where they did.
Oh boy.
But it is time to build a haunt.
Yeah.
This one I will allow semi-breaking of the rule.
Okay.
Because this movie takes so much time, like so much of the time this movie is used in the exterior shots. I will allow some bending of the rules of no outside shots.
Okay, so I can play around outside.
Yes, just make sure you're not like, and they run in a field. It's
No.
I'm talking like, maybe they run down like a forest path.
All right, let's give this a try.
I mean, I'm excited, so let's do this.
Same. Let's go.
All right, so it's time to build the haunt page, and I feel like you're going to do a better job than me. So even if it's concept, you're going to do better than me.
Oof, really? Because I feel like this one's really bad. Okay.
You have to do this movie justice. This is your favorite.
It's hard.
Come on
it's really
now.
Hard. Okay, so we ride through the graveyard with the radio news playing in the background. We're going slow. We're going steady. It's all good. Then we get a camera.
We have the same first room.
Oh, nice. Then we get a camera flash, and the hitchhiker is either in front of us or to the side of us, and he just took our picture. And then he goes and he lights it on fire. He's laughing maniacally. And then he starts chasing us with his knife, and then we just speed off. We go down kind of like a hill. We go through some brush, and we stop to the inside of the walkway of the house, where the sliding door is. We stay there for a minute, and then out of nowhere, Leatherface just slams that door open and chases us with the chainsaw. We go through the rest of the house with him chasing us. We go through the chicken room, but that has dead Kirk on a slab. I know that's not really how that happened, but I just wanted to put him there. The next room has Pam flinging out from the freezer. We go upstairs and we stop in front of Grandpa at the head of the table where the family is waiting for us. And then they lunge at us, or at least one of them lunges at us, and we go backwards and turn down out of the house and right away with Leatherface chasing us. And that's pretty much it.
Are you ready for mine? Fun fact. You introduced Leatherface a lot sooner than I do.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't introduce him until there's 8 rooms technically until the final exit area. He doesn't get introduced to room 5.
Oh, I like that though.
So we start, but we do start at the corpse cemetery. We start at the corpse cemetery with the radio station, but mine is in that dawn moment, and you drive past the corpse hanging on the tombstone. Reason being is, I was like, I was like, I could do a scare, but I think the thing that's scarier is just seeing this and just casually going by it, because that's exactly how this movie treats that scene. It just casually goes by it. Room 2, we are at the Sawyer's house entrance from the outside, so we're basically Pam.
Okay.
And we hear someone get hit with a mallet on the inside. We go inside the house in room 3, and we turn into the kitchen. So basically, we go down the hallway into the kitchen. We hear something coming from the middle door, but we turn around. We turn into the kitchen at that point. We get room 4 is just the kitchen. Just how disgusting and gross. And we hear some chickens go, buck, buck, like the movie does. Room 5, we're in the chopping block room, and we get a scare from Pam coming out of the freezer. Her scare sends us back, turning around into Leatherface, coming right there. He's just comes around like nothing. He starts to chase you into the next room, which is room 6, and it's a chase scene through the woods with the sound of Leatherface's chainsaw coming from the area, with an eventual jump scare and a fade to black, or a cut to black. Room 7, we move forward and it's dark, and the light slowly comes in, and we are sitting at the dinner. Basically, we just wake up. We're waking up at the dinner table. And we wake up to the family like laughing and howling at the viewer. We basically back the track out of the house, so we basically we fall back. And we escape the house into the morning sun, with the final area being Leatherface, with a Leatherface scare on the highway just as we're getting away.
Nice. I like yours. There's more, obviously, again, more cohesiveness, but it seems like we touch on the same types of scares.
I think the only time we really changed in this was once we got in the house. You put 2 of my rooms into the kitchen. That was
yeah, but we're on the same wavelength, pretty much.
We both did the cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you did nighttime, and you used the light bulb, the flashing light. I just had to do my favorite scene in the movie.
Yeah, I know, I get it.
I was like, I see you did that. I felt like it would have been a travesty to not be outside the Sawyer house at least once going into it. I just felt like, if that house is there, you got to go in.
Yeah.
Hallway, iconic. Kitchen, probably. I actually think the kitchen's the most memorable part of the entire house. And I think waiting till room 5, so basically the pit end of the house, to just run into Leatherface for the first time is something different, because usually you run into the killer in the first room in our houses, so waiting till towards the end is different and kind of cool. And the fact that it's the real tense scare is Pam coming out, and you just turn around to him just swinging around a corner being there.
It's kind of like a double scare at that point.
it's a double scare, and I also feel like that's a scare. Like, the Pam scare is more in the like framework of traditional scares, traditional everything. The Leatherface jump scare is more cohesive with the movie, where it just happens. Right. Like, you know, it's so quick, it scares you because it's just how quick it is. Even though I did shit on the movie, the woods scene, I feel like being chased through the woods and all you hear is a chainsaw somewhere in the woods because of spatial awareness. It just surrounds you everywhere. That has to be scary, especially when it's nighttime.
Right.
And you have no light on you except the full moon. And you know, you're doing the dinner scene at some point.
Oh, yeah, that's what I did. That's why I had Grandpa at the table. Yeah.
Yeah, like, you don't not do the dinner scene. And you were going to end on the highway. Like, we both knew we were both going to end on the highway. Do I think this is our best house? I will say this is probably one of our best. This is our best in a while.
It's been a minute. Is it our best? To me, no, but it's solid.
Considering you have to pick them up for me, the house designs, but I have all of them hung up. Shockingly, Friday Part 1 I think is still our best design.
I still love that one too.
We've been on a little bit of a rut with MBV and House of Wax. They were a little bit ruddy. And unfortunately, the house that came before that, while a very good house, and I have the design, it is a great house. Audio got lost, so we got to re-record those episodes. Woo. And we cut. I was like, I'm not doing Friday Part 3 because I listened to it. We were both sleep deprived. It's scary listening to it. It's like, we're both sleep deprived. We have no idea what's going on. We get into an argument about, like, a tree. We literally fight about how we go past a tree.
I don't even remember
and how we get into a shed.
I don't even remember that.
I was like, you get into the shed to the front. You're like, oh no, you can like back into the shed and like, and then you like go into the back. And now I was like, yeah, that makes sense. It's like, it is insanity what we talk about. Part 2 has a good house toe, so it's probably our best design since Part 2.
That's nuts.
Which is episode 2. We're on episode 6 or 7.
But yeah, so that was Texas. Yep. The first one ever.
Unfortunately. See, this is the fortunate, because fortunately, we watched the good one first, and if we wanted to be nice to ourselves, we would just watch Texas Chainsaw Part 2, because...
That one's fun.
It's a great movie. We're not doing that.
We were going to watch the new one.
I was going to ask you, live, on air, while they hear our recording 2 weeks from now. Paige, I'm going to pitch both of these to you. And I'm going to let you decide. Jessica Biel. Or the new movie where... Can you take a guess who the final girl is, okay? An influencer's boyfriend who's also an influencer, and a girl who survived a school shooting.
School shooting.
What made you think that?
Because she already has been through shit?
Exactly. Yeah, so either 2003 or 2022, and the thing with the 2022 one is I heard is a glorious nightmare of just a movie that tries to... Because here's the thing. This movie does deal with some very heavy subjects if you think about it, like that, like, you know, the way people are treated, like meat, all this stuff, you know. There's a lot. There's some heavy subjects in the original Chainsaw. 2022 decided they wanted to also have heavy subjects, but not have heavy subjects. Because, like, the movie at the beginning is like... Because, like, the movie... The one thing I always heard is it talks about guns, but you can't decide if they're saying guns are good or bad. It's just like...
wow.
It's guns!
Oof.
So, are we going 2003 with Jessica Biel? Or are we going 2022 with...
Whomever.
Whatever the fuck it's going to be.
I thought we already made this decision, so I am making this
I'm allowing you to decide on the last second of pure instinct.
We're going with my girl, Jessica Biel. 100%.
Okay.
So...
I mean, good news about the 2003 one, a lot of the crew came back from the original to work on this. And also has really good set design. Yeah. And also, you know what's so good about the next movie? You knew a lot about this movie. I know a shitload about the remake.
Okay.
Because it's the only Texas Chainsaw I've seen.
So instead of doing the new one, we'll do the new-ish one.
We'll do the Michael Bay produced one.
Fantastic. So join us.
That's a great way to pitch it.
Join us for our next episode. Hope you like this one, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
5 innocent people killed. Not a sign of a human. Sign of a human. Sign of a human.